Wisdom of crowds. How am I doing on time? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, I think I can finish this. So this is based, for those that aren't familiar, this is Sir Francis Galton. In the early 1900s, he's about 90 years old. He went to an English fair. And at this fair, they were auctioning off a bull or the meat of the bull. And the person that guessed the closest to the amount of weight of the bull or the processed meat got all that meat. So everybody was very motivated to give their best guess, right? So about the 800 people guessed. What Sir Francis Galton did was he looked at all these guesses. No one guessed the right amount. But when he took the average of everybody's guess, 800 guesses, it was the exact weight of the bull. Exactly. So I wanted him to do this. Obviously, I don't have access to a bull. So I was driving to class one day. I kind of want to replicate this, and I saw a big boulder on the side of the road. I'm like, I'll grab that. We'll just wheel it around, and we'll ask people how much this big boulder rock weighs. And we did that. They're all wearing these outfits that this company that I was working with gave them. But we would just fan out in the school and ask all these students, how much the rock weighed. By the way, you'll see in the second side that I got away from the rock because that's a pain. But what we found is there's a huge age effect. And that actually the teachers that we sampled, they were pretty dang close when we took the average of all their guesses. But you can see 7th, 8th, 9th, you could tell. And not only that, but there was a gender effect. That males, were actually more accurate than the females. And we talked about why might that be. Well, guys are stronger. Maybe they picked up the rock. And we found that when you touched the rock, your guess was more accurate unless you were female, which is kind of crazy.
Could you pick it up?
What's that?
Could you pick it up?
Yeah, it was 128 pounds. Yeah, they could try to pick it up. Okay. Most kids couldn't, And again, we used JUMP to kind of graph all this stuff. Here's the females. And we overlaid all kinds of variables. We took lots and lots of different variables. But you can see that if in some of these females, when they touched it, they made their guess more inaccurate. So this would be a perfect guess, would 0 be. And you can see the males, it didn't have much of an effect. And again, here's that age kind of slope. You can see that here's 0. The older you are, you tend to be more and more accurate. And this seemed to be consistent with the females and the males. But then you could see this little bubble here that in females around this age who touched the rock, it made their guesses a little more inaccurate. So the next year we used packing peanuts in a water jug. That was much easier. And we'd go around and we'd invade all these classes and get all these students to guess. This time what I did was I used Google a lot. And so we would have Google Forms and they would basically input the guesses as they were coming in. So we had immediate feedback. It was much, much easier. And again, we would ask them all kinds of questions. We would take, we divided by grade. And again, you could see kind of a age effect, but it's not as pronounced as the other one. We asked them their favorite subject. We thought maybe the math kids would be a little more accurate. Turned out the history kids were more accurate. We could do it by subject and gender. We could see what everybody's favorite subject is and the percentage of males and females. So the bigger the box, the more people. You could see that there's more females, a higher percentage of females into art and English literature, and more males into math and lunch.
What's your sample size?
538. So we did this for a couple weeks. It was kind of cool. We just went around the class and, I had people stopping me going, how many peanuts are in there? Like, people took this very seriously, especially the teachers. By the way, the physics teacher won. So this is just a density plot. Again, I'm showing them so many different ways to plot this data. And here you can see that the females were actually more accurate in the guesses. We could see that here, right? That the majority of the guesses, so 0 would be a perfect guess. We can see that the females are closer to the 0 than the males. So in this instance, the females are actually more accurate. And we had a problem. We weren't getting enough females, and I was kind of yelling at people like, you got to ask more girls. And no one would admit like they weren't asking the girls. So I basically plotted this. These are the nicknames I gave my students. It was Oh My here. He was actually doing mostly the males. And so I showed him this graph. I'm like, dude, you got to ask more girls the questions. We want a like 50-50 kind of thing. And we could do timestamps. The nice thing about having this on Google Forms is that we knew exactly when we were taking this. So I could ask him questions. When did we first sample the 7th graders? When did we sample the 11th graders? What day did we have the most 8th graders? Right? And we could do this. I can separate this anyway. And this is why I did use JUMP, is because I can make these graphs. And I can't make them in on Excel. What we learned, extensive practice, how to set up your own study, trimming, formatting, display multiple variables on the same graph, and learning about the types of students in their school. And I thought that was interesting, is that you're collecting all this information. It's not really, we care about how many peanuts there are, but really we wanted to see what is our environment. And with this program and with this data in here, these kids could figure out anything they wanted. And then the last part was bioinformatics, which I don't have time for.